The winter of 1944-45 in the Alps was brutal. I was stationed with a small Wehrmacht unit tasked with maintaining supply routes through the mountain passes. Our job was simple: keep the roads clear, ensure convoys could move through, and survive the cold. We operated out of a stone shelter built into the mountainside about halfway up the pass. It had been there for decades, maybe longer, built by someone who understood these mountains. Thick walls, low ceiling, small windows, the kind of structure designed to withstand avalanches. There were 8 of us. Our commanding officer was Hauptmann Richter, a veteran who'd served since Poland. Good man, fair, the kind of officer who shared the same rations as his men. The shelter had 2 rooms, the main living area where we ate and slept, and a smaller storage room in the back. We kept supplies there: fuel, food, equipment. The door to that room was old wood, reinforced with iron bands, heavy. It took effort to open. We'd been there about 3 weeks when Private Newman noticed something odd about the storage room. "The door," he said one evening. "Does anyone else hear it?" We stopped talking, listened. At first I heard nothing. Then faintly I caught it. A sound from behind that heavy door, like breathing, deep, slow, rhythmic. "It's just wind," Richter said. "These old buildings make strange sounds." But it didn't sound like wind. It sounded organic, alive. Over the next few days, we all noticed it. The breathing was constant, never stopped, never changed pace. Just that slow, steady rhythm coming from behind the door. We checked the storage room multiple times, found nothing unusual, just our supplies stacked neatly. The walls were solid stone, no cracks, no gaps where wind could enter, but the breathing continued. Then things started disappearing. Small things at first: a can of food, someone's spare gloves, a pack of cigarettes. Items would be in the storage room one day and gone the next. We blamed each other initially. Accusations flew. Tempers got short. Richter had to break up 2 fights. "Enough," he finally said. "We'll post a guard. Someone watches the storage room every night. If things are being stolen, we'll catch whoever's doing it." We drew lots. I got first watch. That night, around 200 hours, I sat in the main room facing the storage room door. Everyone else was asleep. The shelter was quiet except for snoring and the wind outside. And that breathing from behind the door. I tried to ignore it, focused on staying awake, but the breathing seemed to grow louder as the night progressed. Not actually louder, more present, more insistent, like whatever was making that sound was moving closer to the door. Around 400 hours, the door handle moved. Not much, just a slight rotation, like someone on the other side was testing it, seeing if it was locked. I stood up, grabbed my rifle, and moved toward the door. My heart was hammering. The handle stopped moving. Everything went still. I should have woken Richter, should have gotten backup, but I was 20 years old and stupid. I grabbed the handle and yanked the door open. The storage room was empty. Our supplies were there, undisturbed. Nothing else. The small window on the far wall showed only darkness and falling snow. But the temperature was wrong. The storage room was always cold, no heating, but this was different. This was a deep, penetrating cold that went beyond weather, like the cold of a place that had never known warmth, never known life. I backed out quickly, closed the door, returned to my post. Didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, 3 more items were missing. A flashlight, 2 blankets, a box of matches, all things that had been in the storage room when I'd checked it at 400 hours. The next night was Corporal Fisher's watch. In the morning, he was pale and refused to talk about what he'd seen. Richter ordered him to report. Fisher just shook his head. "I'm not going near that room again," he said. "Court-martial me if you want, I don't care." Richter decided to take the watch himself, told us he'd solve this mystery personally. We went asleep while Richter sat facing the storage room door. I woke around 300 hours, couldn't say why. Some instinct. The shelter was dark except for a single lantern burning low. Richter wasn't at his post. The storage room door was open. I could see him standing inside, his back to me. He was perfectly still, just standing there in the darkness, facing the far wall. "Sir," I called softly. He didn't respond. I got up, approached the doorway. "Hauptmann Richter." He turned slowly. His face was expressionless, empty. His eyes looked past me, through me, at something I couldn't see. "It's older than the shelter," he said quietly. "Older than the mountain. It was here first. We built around it, thought we could contain it. But you can't contain something that existed before stone, before snow, before cold itself." "Sir, I don't understand." "The breathing," he continued. "It's not coming from the room. The room is just where it's closest, where the barrier is thinnest. It's underneath, deep underneath. And it's been here so long it doesn't remember what it was. Just knows it's hungry, just knows it takes warmth, takes things, takes people if they let it." "We should leave," I said. "Abandon this shelter." Richter smiled. It wasn't his smile. "We can't leave. The passes are closed. The snow is too deep. We're here until spring. And it knows that. It's patient. It's been patient for centuries. It can wait a few more months." He walked past me back to his post and sat down, resumed watching the storage room door. Never mentioned the conversation again. When I asked him about it the next day, he claimed not to remember, said I must have been dreaming. But I hadn't been dreaming. The disappearances continued. More supplies, then personal items, a soldier's journal, someone's letters from home, things that shouldn't matter to whatever was taking them, but it took them anyway. We started sleeping in shifts. No one wanted to be alone. The breathing grew louder, more distinct. Sometimes it sounded like it was coming from multiple locations, from the storage room, from beneath the floor, from inside the walls. In February, Private Newman vanished. He'd gone to the storage room to get fuel for the heater, never came back. We found the storage room empty. No sign of struggle, no tracks in the snow outside, just gone. Richter reported it as a desertion, didn't tell command the truth. How could he? What would he say? That something in the shelter was taking men. We were down to 6. Then 5 when Fisher disappeared in March, then 4. By April, when the snow finally started melting and the passes began to reopen, only 3 of us remained. Me, Richter, and a young private named Schmidt who'd stopped speaking entirely. Just stared at the storage room door for hours, his lips moving soundlessly. When relief arrived, they found us in terrible condition, malnourished, traumatized. Most of our supplies gone despite having started the winter with enough for 8 men. They asked what happened to the others. Richter told them desertion, told them the isolation and cold had broken their minds. The official report listed all 5 missing men as having abandoned their posts. No one questioned it. The war was ending. Everyone had more important things to worry about than a few soldiers who'd cracked under pressure in a remote mountain shelter. The shelter was abandoned after that, never used again. It's still there, I think. Stone doesn't decay easily, and whatever is underneath, whatever we spent that winter listening to, it's still there too. Still breathing, still taking, still waiting for the next time someone decides to shelter from the snow in that cursed place. Still patient, still hungry, still older than cold itself. Our unit was stationed in a valley so remote it didn't appear on most maps. Just a thin strip of flat ground between 2 steep mountain slopes, perfect for hiding from aircraft, perfect for waiting out the war. This was late 1944. The situation was bad. We all knew it. The Allies were advancing from the west, the Soviets from the east. We were a supply unit with nothing to supply, just waiting for orders that never came. The valley was beautiful in a harsh way. snow-covered slopes, dark pine forests, a frozen stream cutting through the center, absolute silence except for wind and the occasional crack of ice. That silence was what bothered me most. Cities are never silent. Battlefields are never silent. But this valley had a silence so complete it felt solid, like something you could touch. We'd been there about a week when Sergeant Vogel noticed the echo. We were unloading supplies from a truck. Someone dropped a crate. The sound cracked across the valley, sharp and loud in that frozen quiet. And then it came back. Not immediately, about 3 seconds later. The same sound, the same crack, but slightly different, slightly wrong. Echo, someone said. Sound bouncing off the mountains. But Vogel shook his head. That's not how echoes work. They fade, get quieter. That was the same volume as the original sound. We tested it, shouted, clapped, made various noises. Each time, about 3 seconds later, the sound returned. Exactly the same volume, exactly the same tone, but not exactly the same. There was something added, something underneath the echo, a quality I can't properly describe. Like the valley was repeating our sounds but changing them slightly, adding its own voice to ours. Acoustic anomaly, our commanding officer said. Unusual but not unheard of in mountain terrain. Ignore it. We tried, but you can't ignore something like that when you live with it constantly. Every sound we made came back 3 seconds later. Every conversation, every footstep, every cough. The valley was talking back to us, repeating everything we did. And slowly we realized it wasn't just repeating, it was learning. The echoes became more accurate, more precise. By the second week, they were perfect copies. You couldn't distinguish between the original sound and its return. They were identical. Then the echoes started coming back before we made the sounds. I know how that sounds. Impossible, but it happened. You'd be about to speak, and the echo of your words would arrive a fraction of a second early. You'd hear what you were going to say before you said it. At first it was subtle, easy to dismiss as imagination, but it became more pronounced, more obvious. The valley was anticipating us, predicting us, knowing what we'd do before we did it. Private Bauer tested it deliberately, decided to shout something random, something he couldn't possibly predict in advance. He took a deep breath and heard his shout echo across the valley before he made a sound. He stood there, mouth open, silent. The echo of his unvoiced shout faded into the mountains. "Did you all hear that?" he whispered. We had. That night we kept quiet, spoke in whispers, moved carefully, trying not to trigger the echo. But silence didn't help, because now we could hear other things. Sounds that didn't come from us. Footsteps in the snow outside our tents. Voices speaking in German, having conversations we couldn't quite understand. The sounds of a camp, our camp, but displaced, happening a few seconds out of sync with reality. We were hearing ourselves, but not our current selves. Some version of us that was slightly ahead or slightly behind in time. The valley was showing us what we'd be doing moments from now, or what we'd done moments before. Time in that valley wasn't linear. It was folded, layered, past and future bleeding into each other, separated by only seconds. Vogel tried to use it. If the echo showed the future, we could predict things, avoid danger. He stood outside his tent and waited, listened, heard footsteps approaching, his own footsteps, he realized, coming from the direction of the supply depot. He walked to the supply depot. As he walked, he heard his footsteps ahead of him, reached the depot, stopped, listened. He heard himself walking back to his tent. But he didn't walk back. He stood there, waiting, refusing to follow the pattern the echo had predicted. The footsteps continued anyway. He heard himself walking back across the camp, heard his tent flap open and close, heard himself moving around inside. He ran back to his tent, found it empty but disturbed, as if someone had been there. His blanket was rumpled, his pack had been moved. Something had walked his pattern. had completed the actions the echo predicted, even though he hadn't. We stopped trying to fight it after that, accepted that the valley was doing something we couldn't understand or control. We followed our echoes, did what the valley predicted we'd do, because fighting it only made things worse. But the echoes kept getting stranger. We started hearing sounds that shouldn't exist, trucks that we didn't have, conversations with men who'd never been part of our unit, orders being shouted by officers we didn't recognize. The valley was showing us other times, other groups who'd camped here, other soldiers who'd made the mistake of staying too long in this place where time didn't flow correctly. And then we heard the screaming. It came one night, distant at first, then closer, men screaming in terror, gunfire, explosions, the sounds of a battle that wasn't happening, couldn't be happening. We were alone in this valley. But the sounds grew louder, more intense, more real, until we could distinguish individual voices, until we could hear specific words in those screams. They were screaming in German, screaming about something in the valley, something that had found them, something that was killing them. The battle sounds lasted maybe 10 minutes, then silence. Then, 3 seconds later, the same sounds repeated, exactly the same, like an echo, like the valley remembering violence that had happened here or would happen here or was happening here in some timeline we couldn't perceive. We left the next morning, packed everything, drove out of that valley as fast as the narrow road permitted, didn't look back, didn't discuss what we'd heard. Got reassigned to a different sector. The war ended 4 months later. We survived. But I still think about that valley, about the sounds we heard, about our own echoes arriving before we made them, about time folding in on itself in that place. And sometimes, late at night when everything is quiet, I hear things before they happen, just by a fraction of a second, just enough to know what's coming. A phone ringing before it rings, a door closing before anyone touches it, words being spoken before mouths form them. I think the valley changed something in us, taught us to perceive time differently, showed us that past and future aren't as separate as we believe, showed us that some places don't follow the same rules as everywhere else, that some valleys remember things that haven't happened yet, that some echoes arrive before the sound. And in those places, you're never experiencing one moment. You're experiencing all moments at once. Past, present, future, all layered together, all bleeding into each other. All echoing eternally in the space between mountains. Communication in the mountains was difficult. Radio signals bounced strangely off peaks and valleys. Clear days would have terrible reception. Stormy days would sometimes be perfect. There was no predicting it. Our radio operator was a man named Corporal Strauss. Quiet, competent. He'd been a radio technician before the war, understood the equipment better than anyone else in the unit. We relied on him completely for communication with command. Without working radio, we were isolated, cut off. Just another forgotten unit in the Alps waiting for a war to end. In January 1945, Strauss started picking up strange transmissions. Voice traffic on frequencies that should have been empty. German voices, speaking in code we didn't recognize. At first he thought it was another unit nearby. He tried to establish contact, identify himself, request their position. The voices never responded, just continued their transmissions, calm, professional, as if they couldn't hear him. Strauss would record what he could, take notes, report to our commanding officer. Unknown unit operating on unauthorized frequency, unable to establish contact. This went on for days. Same voices, same routine transmissions, weather reports, status updates, nothing urgent, just normal radio traffic. Then Strauss noticed something in the transmissions that made him stop talking about them. He came to me privately one evening. We'd become friends over the months. He trusted me. The dates are wrong, he said. What dates? In the transmissions, they're reporting dates, but the dates they're giving, they're from last year, October 1944, 3 months ago. I didn't understand. Recorded transmissions, someone playing them back. No, it's real time, I can tell. The static patterns, the signal strength fluctuations. These are live broadcasts, but they're reporting dates from October. That's impossible. I know, but I've been listening carefully. They're following a pattern, a sequence, and I think I know what's happening. He paused, looked uncomfortable. I think we're picking up transmissions from the past, from a unit that was here before us. Same frequencies, same equipment, but 3 months ago. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but something about his certainty made me hesitate. Have you told the commanding officer? He shook his head. He'll think I'm losing my mind. Hell, maybe I am, but I need you to listen. Come to the radio room tonight, hear it yourself. I went, sat with Strauss as he tuned the radio. The frequencies crackled and hissed. Then voices emerged, clear, strong, speaking German, giving routine position reports. And yes, they were reporting dates from October 1944. But here's what really disturbed me. I recognized one of the voices. It was Hauptmann Koch, our previous commanding officer. He'd been transferred in November, promoted, moved to a different unit. I mentioned this to Strauss. He nodded slowly. I know. I recognized him too, and 2 of the other voices are men from our unit, Werner and Schaefer. Werner and Schaefer had both been transferred in November with Koch. This is a recording, I said. Has to be. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't. The transmission quality, the background sounds. This was live radio traffic, current, real time. Somehow, we were listening to our own unit from 3 months in the past. It gets worse, Strauss said. I've been monitoring them for over a week, following their transmissions, and I know what's going to happen to them. What do you mean? They're following the same pattern every unit that comes to this valley follows. Same routine, same problems, same decisions. And in exactly 4 days from their current transmission date, October 23rd, they're going to go silent. Forever. He showed me his notes, detailed logs of the transmissions. The pattern was clear, routine traffic, then increasing radio problems, then distress calls, then silence. What happened on October 23rd? I asked. I don't know, command never told us. Koch and his men were just transferred out suddenly. That's all we were told, but these transmissions, they don't end with a transfer. They end with emergency signals, with calls for help, with static. We listened for the next several days, watched the pattern unfold exactly as Strauss had predicted. The past unit, our unit, 3 months ago, was heading towards some kind of disaster. On what their transmissions indicated was October 22nd, we heard distress signals. The voices were panicked, afraid, reporting something in the valley, something approaching, something they couldn't identify. Then silence. The transmissions ended. Strauss tried every frequency. Nothing. The past had gone quiet. They're dead, Strauss whispered. All of them, Koch, Werner, Schaefer, all dead. But they're not dead, I said. Koch was promoted. Werner and Schaefer were transferred with him. We know this for a fact. Do we? Or is that just what we were told? I didn't have an answer. The next morning, Strauss's radio picked up new transmissions. Different voices this time. A new unit moving into the valley, setting up, beginning their routine communications. We listened, recognized the voices immediately. They were us, our current unit, our commanding officer, our men. But the dates they were reporting were from October 1944, 3 months in our past. We were listening to ourselves, but 3 months ago, before we'd arrived here, before we'd set up in this valley. The valley loops, Strauss said. His voice was hollow, empty. Time loops here. Every unit that comes here experiences the same things, the same sequence. They think they're operating normally, but they're just repeating the pattern, following the script. That's insane. Is it? Think about it. How long have we been here? When did we arrive? I couldn't remember exactly. The days had blurred together. It felt like we'd been here forever, but also like we'd just arrived. The dates in our orders, Strauss continued. Check them. When were we assigned to this valley? I checked. Our orders were dated October 1944, same date as the transmissions we'd been monitoring, same date as Cox's unit. We were the same unit, the same men, following the same pattern, existing in some kind of loop where time didn't progress linearly, where October repeated endlessly, where every version of us made the same transmissions, followed the same routine, headed toward the same silence. We're already dead, Strauss said. We died on October 23rd, but the valley keeps us here, keeps us transmitting, keeps us repeating. We're ghosts, echoes, caught in a loop we can't escape. I wanted to argue, to prove him wrong, but I couldn't. The evidence was there. The pattern was clear. That night I tried to leave the valley, got in a truck, drove toward the pass, but the road just curved back around, led me in a circle, returned me to camp. I tried again, same result. The valley wouldn't let us leave, wouldn't let the pattern break. On what the calendar said was October 23rd, though I no longer trusted the calendar, things changed. Our radio went silent, not broken, just silent, as if all the frequencies had stopped existing. Strauss tried everything. Couldn't get a signal, couldn't transmit, couldn't receive. The radio was dead. Then we heard footsteps in the snow outside. Lots of them, approaching from the valley slopes. But when we looked, we saw nothing. Just empty snow, just that awful silence. The footsteps stopped at the edge of our camp, waited. We could feel them waiting, feel something watching us from the spaces where the footsteps had ended. And I understood. This was what had happened to Cox's unit, what happened to every unit that came to this valley. They reached October 23rd and something came for them, came to collect them, came to fold them back into the loop. I'm writing this now as we wait. The radio is still silent. The footsteps are still there just outside. My men are quiet. They understand. We all understand. We've been here before. We'll be here again. October in this valley doesn't end. It just repeats. And we're part of the repetition now. Part of the transmission. Part of the pattern. Part of the frozen loop that replays eternally in this place where time doesn't move forward. We're already ghosts, already echoes, already dead. We just keep forgetting. Until we remember again. Until October 23rd returns. Until the footsteps come. Again. And again. And again. There was a war photographer attached to our unit for a few weeks. His name was Heinrich Metzger. Middle-aged, professional. He'd been documenting the war since 1939, seen everything, photographed battles, cities in ruins, soldiers alive and dead. He had a calm about him that was unusual. Most people in the war were tense, on edge, but Metzger moved through everything with this strange serenity, like he was observing from a distance, like none of it could touch him. He took thousands of photographs during his time with us. Mountains, snow, soldiers at rest, equipment, the daily routine of a unit stationed in the Alps. Nothing dramatic, just documentation. One evening, he invited a few of us to see his work, set up his portable darkroom, essentially a tent with chemicals and developing equipment, showed us how he processed the film, how images emerged from blank paper. It was fascinating watching the photographs appear, ghostly at first, then more defined, then complete, moments from our lives rendered permanent in silver and paper. Most of the images were what we expected, our camp, our faces, the mountains around us, normal. But one photograph was different. It showed our camp from an elevated position, someone standing on the slope above looking down. You could see everything. The tents, the vehicles, the men moving around. And in the center of the camp, clearly visible, was another figure. Someone we hadn't noticed at the time, someone who shouldn't have been there. The figure was tall, wearing what looked like winter clothing, but the clothing was wrong, old-fashioned, like something from a different era, and the figure was partially transparent. You could see the ground through it. "That's odd," Metzger said, examining the photograph closely. "I don't remember seeing anyone there." "It's a double exposure," someone suggested, "two images overlapping." Metzger shook his head. "I'm careful. This is a single exposure. That figure was there when I took the photograph. The camera saw it even if I didn't." He developed more photographs, found similar figures in several others, always in the background, always slightly transparent, always wearing that old-fashioned clothing. One photograph showed a figure standing at the edge of our camp, looking directly at the camera. Its face was blurred, indistinct, but you could see it was watching us. "Cameras see things we don't," Metzger said quietly. "I've learned this over the years. The lens captures more than the eye perceives, shows things that exist outside normal vision." "Ghosts," someone scoffed. "I don't know what to call them, but I've photographed them in other places. Battlefields mostly, ruins, places where death happened. They appear in photographs but not to the naked eye. The camera sees them, records them, proves they're there even if we can't perceive them directly." He showed us more, photographs from other locations, other times during the war. Many contained similar figures, transparent, watching, standing in places they shouldn't be. "I've stopped being disturbed by it," Metzger said. "It's just part of war. Death leaves traces, impressions. The camera captures those impressions, shows us that the dead don't fully leave. They linger, observe, wait." He started deliberately looking for these figures, would study a scene carefully before photographing, try to spot them with his naked eye. Never could, but the camera always captured them. In our valley, he found them everywhere. Dozens of transparent figures, all wearing that same old-fashioned clothing, all watching our camp, standing on slopes, standing between tents, standing at the edges of photographs, partially visible. "This place has many layers," Metzger told me one evening. "Many iterations. Other groups have camped here, other soldiers, maybe for centuries, and they've left impressions. The camera sees those impressions, shows us we're not alone, that our presence here is temporary, but theirs is permanent." He took a photograph of me one afternoon, just a portrait, me standing outside my tent, normal. When he developed it, there was another figure standing behind me, close, almost touching my shoulder, transparent, its face still blurred, but clearly there. "Do you feel it?" Metzger asked, showing me the image. I looked at the photograph, at that figure standing so close to me, and yes, I remembered. At the moment he'd taken the photograph, I'd felt something, a coldness, a presence, like someone standing directly behind me, breathing on my neck. "They're always with us," Metzger said. "The camera just proves it, makes them visible, but they're there regardless, standing close, watching, waiting." He left our unit after 3 weeks, took his equipment and moved on to document other places, other groups. I never saw him again. But before he left, he gave me something, an envelope containing a photograph. "Don't open it now," he said. "Wait until you're home, until the war is over, then look at it." I kept that envelope through the rest of the war, through transfers and retreats in the final collapse, through the chaos of those last months. I kept it safe, unopened. When I finally got home in 1946, I opened the envelope. The photograph inside showed our entire unit, all of us gathered in front of the camp, a group portrait. But among the living soldiers there were others, dozens of transparent figures mixed in with us, standing between us, some with their hands on our shoulders, some standing where we were standing, occupying the same space, overlapping. And behind the entire group, filling the background, were hundreds more, Transparent figures crowding the slopes, all facing the camera, all watching. The valley had been full of them. We'd been surrounded the entire time, living among the dead, walking through their space, sleeping where they stood. The camera had seen them, had captured the truth. We were never alone in that valley, never the first to camp there, never the only ones occupying that frozen space between the mountains. On the back of the photograph, Metzger had written a note. The dead don't leave. They accumulate layer upon layer. The camera sees all layers at once, shows us that every place is crowded with history, with presence, with the transparent traces of everyone who came before. We move through their world. They move through ours. We're all overlapping, all occupying the same space in different times. The camera shows this truth, proves we're never truly alone, never truly present in only one moment. We exist in all moments simultaneously, living among countless others we cannot see but who see us, who watch us, who wait for us to join them, to become transparent ourselves, to become part of the permanent impression, part of the layer that future cameras will capture, part of the crowded history of places where humans pass through but never truly leave. I kept that photograph for many years, eventually destroyed it, couldn't stand looking at it, couldn't stand seeing all those transparent figures, knowing they'd been there, knowing we'd been living among them, knowing I might have become one of them if things had gone differently. If I died in that valley instead of surviving, would my transparent figure appear in someone else's photograph someday, standing in that same camp, wearing my old uniform, watching the living as they moved through the space I'd occupied? I'm old now. The war was a lifetime ago, but sometimes I wonder about photographs, about what they capture that we don't see, about the layers of existence that overlap in every space, about the transparent figures that stand behind us, that watch us, that wait, about the moment when we become transparent ourselves, when the camera can see us but the eye cannot, when we join that crowded history, when we become part of the permanent impression. That moment is coming for all of us. The camera knows. The camera sees. The camera is already capturing our transparent figures in photographs that haven't been taken yet. We're already ghosts, already overlapping, already standing among the dead. We just don't know it yet, just can't see it without the camera's help. But we will, eventually, when we cross over fully, when we become completely transparent, when we join the other in the permanent layers of existence, standing, watching, waiting, forever captured in silver and paper, forever visible to the lens, forever overlapping with the living, forever.
In March 1945, our unit was ordered to investigate a small outpost that had gone silent. Radio contact had been lost 3 days earlier. Command wanted to know what happened, wanted someone to check on them, make sure they were all right. We were the nearest unit. The assignment fell to us. The outpost was about 15 kilometers away, a 4-hour journey through mountain terrain. We set out at dawn, 6 of us plus our commanding officer, Oberleutnant Steiner. The weather was clear when we started, but weather in the Alps changes quickly. By midday, snow was falling. By afternoon, it was a full blizzard. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. We considered turning back, but we were close. Steiner decided to push forward. We'll shelter at the outpost, he said. Wait out the storm there. We reached the outpost around 1600 hours, found it partially buried in snow. The buildings were intact but silent. No smoke from chimneys, no lights in windows, no movement. We approached carefully, called out, no response. The main building's door was unlocked. We entered, found the interior dark and cold. The heating stove was dead, no fire, no warmth. We searched the building, found the 6 men who had been stationed here. They were sitting at a table in the common room, all 6 of them, just sitting there in the darkness, not moving. At first, I thought they were dead, frozen, but as our flashlights played across their faces, one of them blinked. They were alive, barely conscious but not responding. They just sat there, staring at nothing, breathing slowly. What happened here? Steiner demanded. No response. We tried shaking them, shouting at them, nothing. They were like statues, like people who'd been turned off somehow, still technically alive but not present, not home inside their own bodies. We checked for injuries, found none. No signs of violence, no indication of carbon monoxide poisoning or disease. They were just empty. We got the stove working, got heat going, made hot food, tried to revive them. One by one they began responding, slowly, like waking from deep sleep. But even awake, they were wrong, distant, confused. The youngest one, a private named Wagner, could speak after about an hour. His words came slowly, carefully, like he was translating from another language. "The snow," he said. "The snow remembered." "Remembered what?" Steiner asked. Wagner's eyes were distant, unfocused. "Everything, everyone, every person who died in it, every soldier who'd frozen, every casualty buried under it. The snow holds them, keeps them, and when it falls, they fall with it. Come down from the sky, return to Earth." He wasn't making sense. Steiner assumed traumatic stress, exposure, something psychological. But Wagner continued. "We saw them, in the snow, faces, bodies, dozens of them, falling with the flakes, made of snow but shaped like men, like soldiers, like us. They came down during the storm, piled up around the building, pressed against the walls, against the windows." Another man spoke up, Corporal Dietrich. His voice was hollow. "They wanted to be warm again, wanted to remember what warmth felt like. They'd been cold so long, frozen in the snow, part of it, and now they were falling back down, trying to find shelter, trying to find us." "There's no one outside," I said, looking through the window. "Nothing but wind and snow, normal snow, white and empty." "You're not looking correctly," Wagner said. "You're seeing snow, but look closer, see the shapes in it, see what the snow remembers, see the faces." Against my better judgment, I looked, stared into the falling snow. At first, just white chaos, random flakes dancing in wind, but then patterns, shapes, things that almost looked like faces, like hands, like bodies formed from thousands of tiny snowflakes all arranging themselves into human shapes before dispersing and reforming. "It's just pareidolia," Steiner said. "The brain finding patterns in random data, that's all." But I kept watching, and the shapes became clearer, more distinct. I could see them now. Figures made of snow, falling, drifting, pressed against the window. Looking in, they had no details, no features, just vague suggestions of human form. Snow that remembered the shape of bodies it had once covered. Snow that had accumulated over countless frozen corpses and absorbed their impression, their memory. And now that snow was falling again, bringing those memories back down, returning the dead to Earth in the only form they could take. As patterns in precipitation, as shapes in storm, as temporary forms that assembled and dispersed with each gust of wind. "They're not dangerous," Dietrich said. "They're just present. They want to be acknowledged, want to be seen, want someone to recognize that they existed, that they died here, that the snow holds their memory." We spent the night in that outpost. The storm continued, the snow piled deeper, and all night, those shapes pressed against the windows, formed and reformed, faces appearing briefly before dissolving, hands reaching out before scattering into white chaos. By morning the storm had passed, the snow had stopped, the shapes were gone, just normal snow remained, deep and white and clean. The 6 men from the outpost seemed better, more present, more normal. Whatever had happened to them was fading. They couldn't explain it clearly, just said they'd seen something in the snow during the previous storm, something that had frightened them so badly they'd shut down, stopped responding, retreated into themselves to escape what they were seeing. We reported the outpost as having experienced psychological trauma from isolation, recommended the men be relieved and sent for evaluation. Command approved. They were transferred out within days. Our unit returned to our own posting. The incident was filed away, forgotten, just another strange occurrence in a war. Full of strange occurrences, but I never forgot, never stopped thinking about what I'd seen in that snow. Those shapes, those faces, those bodies made of frozen water that had once covered corpses and absorbed their form. After the war, I researched it, found similar reports throughout history. Soldiers seeing figures in snow, faces in storms, shapes that appeared when conditions were right, when enough people had died in enough snow that the snow itself became a medium for memory, a carrier of impressions. Every snowflake that forms does so around a nucleus, a particle of dust, a fragment of something. And in places where many have died, where bodies have frozen and slowly decomposed under snow, those particles include pieces of the dead, molecules, atoms, fragments of what they were. The snow incorporates those fragments, that builds itself around them, and when that snow falls again, it carries those fragments, returns them, brings them down in new formations, new patterns, new temporary shapes that echo what once was. The snow remembers, not consciously, not deliberately, but through physical process, through the accumulation of material that once formed living bodies and now forms falling ice crystals. We fall with the snow eventually. All of us who die in winter, who freeze in mountains, who get buried under drifts, We become part of it, get incorporated, get carried back into the sky as the snow melts and evaporates and reforms into clouds, and then we fall again, fragment by fragment, molecule by molecule, part of every snowflake, part of every storm, forever cycling, forever falling, forever returning to Earth in frozen form the snow remembers. And if you look carefully during the right storm, in the right place, you can see what it remembers, can see the shapes it forms, can see the faces of the dead arranged temporarily in ice crystals before dissolving back into white chaos. We're all in the snow eventually, all part of the eternal cycle, all falling, all remembered in the only way that frozen water can remember: shape, pattern, form, impression. Brief existence in storm, quick assembly of human shape, moment of recognition, then dispersion, then reformation, then falling again. Forever. Our unit served as a relay station for communications between frontline units and command. We processed orders, forwarded reports, managed the flow of information through our sector. Boring work, but essential. Among the documents that passed through our hands were casualty reports, lists of men who'd died, where, when, how. We'd process them, log them, forward them to appropriate departments. Death reduced to paperwork. You learned to become numb to it, seeing thousands of names, thousands of deaths. They stopped being people, became just entries in a ledger. In February 1945, we received a casualty report that shouldn't have existed. It listed deaths from our own unit, our men, with dates from next week. The names were real, the serial numbers matched, the unit designation was ours, but the dates were wrong. The report listed them as dying March 2nd through March 8th. It was currently February 25th. Administrative error, our commanding officer said. Someone confused dates. Well, this is from last year. File it and forget it. But the year was clearly printed, 1945, and the dates were definitely next week, not last year. I looked at the names, 12 men from our unit, including 3 of my friends, including me. My name was on that list, listed as killed in action March 5th, 1945, cause artillery strike. I showed it to Hauptmann Brandt, our commanding officer. He examined it carefully, frowned. This is someone's idea of a sick joke, he said. Probably partisan psychological warfare, trying to demoralize us. Ignore it, but the document was official. Right forms, right stamps, right codes. If this was fake, someone had gone to enormous trouble to make it perfect. What if it's real? I asked. Impossible. You can't report deaths before they happen. This is just paperwork confusion. Don't read anything into it. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop seeing my name on that list. March 5th. Artillery strike. 5 days from now. The other men whose names appeared on the list had the same reaction. Fear, confusion. None of us could dismiss it. Couldn't pretend we hadn't seen our own deaths written officially, recorded in military documentation. March 1st came. We were all still alive. Nothing unusual happened. Normal duties. Normal day. March 2nd, the first name on the list was Private Kessler. The report listed his death as occurring that day. Sniper fire. At 1400 hours, Kessler was cleaning his rifle. It discharged accidentally. The bullet went through his throat. He died within minutes. The report had listed him as dying from sniper fire, not accidental discharge. But he was dead, on the date predicted, close enough to the predicted method. March 3rd, 2 more names. Corporal Weber and Private Stoles, listed as dying in vehicle accident. At 0900 hours. They were driving to pick up supplies. The truck hit ice on a mountain road, went over the edge. Both men died in the crash. Vehicle accident, just as predicted. March 4th, 3 more names, all listed as killed in artillery strike. We hadn't seen any combat in weeks, no enemy artillery in our sector. But at 1700 hours, a single shell landed on our position. Random fire from miles away, killed 3 men, the exact 3 listed in the document. The survivors were terrified now. 7 more men were supposed to die, including me. All of us knew the dates, knew the methods, knew we had only days left. Brandt tried to keep order. Coincidence, he insisted. Tragic coincidence. The document is still just a mistake. Don't let it affect your judgment. But how could we not? 7 men were walking around knowing exactly when they'd die, knowing it had already been recorded, already been processed as official casualty reports. We tried to prevent it. The men scheduled to die on March 5th, including me, stayed in the safest locations possible, avoided artillery positions, wore helmets constantly, took every precaution. March 5th, 0600 hours. Nothing happened. 700 0800 still alive. Maybe the pattern would break. Maybe we could avoid it. 1200 hours. Enemy aircraft appeared. Unexpected. They hadn't flown in this sector for weeks. They dropped bombs on our position. Not a major attack, with just a harassing raid, but accurate. 4 men died in the bombing. 4 of the 7 scheduled for that day, including 3 whose names were on the list I survived, hadn't been killed by the artillery strike the report predicted, but 3 others had died. still following the document's pattern, just slightly off in the specific details. March 6th and 7th passed. More men died, always close to the numbers predicted, always roughly matching the methods listed, as if the document was a script we were following, a plan we couldn't deviate from. By March 8th, 11 of the 12 men listed were dead. Only one name remained, Private Herzog, listed as dying that day from unknown causes. Herzog spent the entire day in the safest location he could find, underground, in a reinforced bunker, refusing to come out, refusing to take any risks. That's 2,300 hours, with less than an hour left in the day. Brandt went to check on him, found Herzog dead in the bunker, no injuries, no signs of violence, no explanation. Medical examination later determined heart failure, natural causes. A healthy 23-year-old had simply stopped living. Unknown causes, just as the document had predicted. All 12 men were dead. The casualty report had been completely accurate. Every name, every date, within reasonable margins, every method. We'd received a document from the future, a report filed after the deaths occurred, but we'd received it before the deaths happened, before the future became present, before events unfolded. Why? How? No one could explain it. Brandt reported the situation to command. They investigated. They found no explanation, classified it as administrative error. Despite all evidence to the contrary, the official conclusion was that someone had misfiled a document, that dates had been recorded incorrectly. That coincidence explained the matches between predicted and actual deaths. But I was there. I saw my name on that list, saw the date I was supposed to die, and though I survived past that date, 11 others didn't. 11 men died exactly as predicted by a document that shouldn't have existed. I've thought about it for decades, tried to understand how information from the future could reach the past, how deaths could be recorded before they happened. The only explanation I can construct is terrible. The deaths didn't happen because they were predicted. They happened because they'd already happened from the perspective of whoever filed that report. Some version of those events had already occurred, had already been recorded, that had already been processed, and somehow the documentation reached us before the events did, gave us warning, gave us knowledge, but didn't give us the power to change anything because the future that document came from was already fixed, already done, already real, and nothing we did in our present could alter what had already been recorded in that future's past. We were living through events that had already been written, already been filed, were already been processed and archived. We had no free will, no agency, no ability to deviate from the script. We were just playing out predetermined roles, following a pattern that had already occurred from another perspective, fulfilling casualty reports that had already been filed by someone standing in our future. Looking back at our deaths as historical fact, I survived. My death on that document didn't occur exactly as written. Maybe small variations were possible, maybe tiny deviations from the script, but the overall pattern held. The deaths happened, the future arrived, the document proved accurate, and I wonder sometimes about other documents, other reports, other pieces of paperwork that might contain information they shouldn't, that might show us futures we don't want to see, that might prove our lives are already written, already done, already archived in filing cabinets somewhere in time, waiting to be processed. I wonder if my real death is already documented somewhere, already filed, already processed, with a date I haven't reached yet, with a method I don't know, with a casualty report that exists in the future. Looking back at my death as something that's already happened, I wonder if we're all in those future reports, all listed, all recorded, all playing out predetermined scripts while believing we have choices, all already dead from the future's perspective, just waiting for the present to catch up, just waiting for the dates on our reports to arrive, just waiting to fulfill the paperwork, just waiting.